Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bayways. Today we'll be discussing life in high school. I have with me my co-host Bui and our guests. We'll be starting with our guests. Can you beautiful ladies, mothers, sisters, introduce yourselves?
Okay, good evening to our listeners and the host. My name is Eugenia Baloi. I'm a social worker by profession. Thank you.
Good evening to the host and listeners. My name is Nkakasana Mutlava. I'm a subject advisor in Capricorn South District. I'm responsible for life orientation.
Thank you, and it is a pleasure meeting you. Where is my co-host? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. Hi, dear mothers. Oh, it's been ages not being on air due to some other commitments. I would again say to you, Happy New Year. For those I've met last year, since well, it's been ages. My name is Wisa. My surname is Michelle. I'll be your co-host tonight. I'll be working with Mr. Cecil. We'll be talking about life in high school. So yeah, that's me for you. So I hope that you enjoy this, especially high school learners, because hey guys, you're facing a serious challenge out there. So we have our mothers here. So they'll be telling us more, or they'll be sharing the stories about, that life, that life within the life in high school. So let me hand over to you, Mr. Cecil.
Thank you, thank you. Those are our guests and my co-host over here. So first thing that I would like us to dive into is how the matric results have reflected, especially the low pass rate in Limpopo. I don't know if our social worker can just tell us how our students or our learners are supposed to go about things now. Let's say, for instance, one of our learners has unfortunately failed or did not do well in their matric. So, from this point, what psychological advice would you give them, or what would you say they should do that can help them move forward? I mean, after all, we do fail forward and we keep pushing on. So, what advice do you have for them?
Okay, thank you for the time. To our learners, the matric learners who didn't make it, I will be talking to those who didn't make it at all and those who are not happy with their results. All I can say is that firstly, you must be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You have worked hard. Things just didn't come out the way you have anticipated or expected, but be kind to yourself. And know that in life, we live with second chances. I see even in the Department of Education, they've introduced a program where you can go back to register again to write the subjects that you will want to improve. And also there are other institutions where you can also go and improve your qualifications. So I had even the minister saying, you can take one subject at a time and write it in mid-year. You can write the other one in December until you are satisfied with the results that you have. I understand that there are pressures in the society, there are pressures on social media, there are pressures everywhere concerning the results and the outcomes and everything. So all I can say is that, can you please close your ears, listen to your heart, follow your dreams, and look at your goals. There's no time frame for when you should be what or when you should accomplish your goals. But as long as you are willing and committed to achieve them, it takes patience and commitment, and you will be able to achieve those goals only if you can close your ears and listen to your heart and do the right things.
Thank you. There you have it. We've touched on subject selection. I don't know. Can our curriculum advisor advise us? See what I did there? Can our curriculum advisor advise us on how to choose subjects, and if students have an option to changing subjects in their grade 11 and 12 possibly?
Thank you so much. When it comes to a subject, a choices or subject changes, we need to realize that sometimes you can make these decisions that you can later realize that you need maybe something come up, you need to change, and it's possible. It's only that in our curriculum, as we know, we are doing 7 subjects in the FET. Let me concentrate in the FET band of FET phase, where you are doing 7 subjects. You have 4 compulsory, which you cannot, unfortunately, not change. But in the other 3 subjects that you can, you have chosen in grade 10 and 11, you can change 2. And when you're in grade 12, you can change only 1 out of the 3. But the 4 compulsory subjects, you cannot change. So you still have a choice when you realize you are not making it. Maybe the subject is the one that is pulling you down. And by all means, you realize you cannot make it. You still have a choice to change. Rather, you change to what you like rather than forcing things which you know, I'm not getting it right. Because if you change, have a positive attitude, you work very hard, you can still make it even if it's a new subject in grade 12. That one subject, we saw it happening, you can make it and then it can come out right, rather than forcing things while you see that you are not doing it right. This is my advice. For in grade 10 and 11, you can change 2 subjects. In grade 12, you can change 1.
Thank you.
Or did you need to go on with subject choices as to how can we motivate maybe starting from grade 10, how we can advise maybe learners or our students to choose subject? Did you wanted me to explain further on that?
We can come back to that. I just need to touch here and there, putting the 2 things in one conversation, if I may put it that way. I wanted to come back to Eugenia. So we were just informed that it is possible to change subjects in grade 11, grade 10, 11, and 12, or basically in each phase, if I had her right. So I wanted to know, how do you think students can manage that change? What advice would you give them in terms of managing the change or having the courage to make that change?
Okay, all I can say is that I believe that Department of Education did not just put the option to change for the sake of changing. And I believe that one should look at the career path that they want to take. Remember, we're advised from grade 10 that at least you must know what you want to become in order to choose subjects. So changing a subject would mean maybe you want to achieve a certain goal. So I can say that if it's for the students' advantage, yes, they can change, even though it will come with maybe stressors in terms of having to understand a certain subject at a later stage. Because if you have to change it, it means you were not doing it even before. So you'll have to put more extra efforts, you'll need more support from home. You'll also have to be able to consult wherever you need help. You have to be show your vulnerability when there's a need, because if you change and you're not ready and you're not willing to seek for help, it might affect the outcomes and the intended goal of passing with good marks. So it is a good initiative, but it will need someone who is strong mentally, someone who understands what they are doing, not for the sake of, maybe some have said, geography is better than life science, if I can put it like that. So you don't have to go for it because it looks easier, but let there be something solid that is driving you, something that motivates you, something that you aim to achieve by changing such subjects.
Okay.
Bui, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, as I'm listening, I would imagine, or with my experience in high school, is that once you move from one field to the other, you get a clashback from other students. Usually, if you move from a very difficult subject to a very simple one, though or not simple, it's nothing simple really, to another, let's say, low level, or I don't know how to put it. When you do that transition, you get flashback from other learners. That also contributes as bullying. I don't know, Bui, what do you think?
Okay, I would say changing a subject from one another to the different, it's something that it's a little bit challenging and difficult. Mind you, you're still going to adapt with the environment, the method of teaching that the teacher is going to put you in. According to my experience, NAF never changed any subject, but for some other students, they did that. And that thing was, it wasn't comfortable for their side. And some will say, nah, we thought as much, physical sense, we know. And already that thing is another student's education even difficult. Like Ma'am Eugene earlier on said something about passing and not passing the way I've once been there. I passed, but I didn't pass well. They said to me, your choice of subjects were wrong. If you maybe did account, you're going to pass better. I know we thought we were going you're going to do better. That thing also contributed to my health, to my psychology in a way. So I would say Ishman, it's affecting us and it's affecting other learners in a way. It might affect them positively and it might not affect them in a good way. So, and in that, I want to ask something about a choice of subject. Like I said, does a choice of subject affect the passing rate of a student?
I guess this question can be taken by either one of you guys.
Yeah.
I repeat the last part of the question. Can
a student?
The question.
Okay, the question is, does the choice of subject affect the pass rate of a learner in a positive or in a negative way?
Your question is not clear, but let me try to answer it, and then if you are not answered, you will.
Let me try and rephrase the question. Let me try and rephrase the question correctly in a manner that I think you'd understand it, or the way that I understand it. I think the question is, would the change of subject, would the change of a subject help, or how does it affect, how does the change of subject affect the performance of the learner?
It can affect in a positive or in a negative way. It depends. Like if you change one subject in grade 12 and you are dedicating and you work hard on it and you pass, it means it does not affect in any way, in a negative way. You have passed it. As long as the most important thing here is to know yourself. That's the most important thing. Well, when you want to do things, whether you want to change, you want to choose, know yourself. Why am I choosing? I know myself because this is what I want. This is my strength. This is my interest. This is my abilities. This is my weaknesses. This is my strength. And then it becomes easier for you to change. You are not changing because you are seeing a friend doing maths and you were doing maths lead or whatever. You undermine your subject. You think they are not smart. Change because you know yourself very well. Here I cannot achieve, and I have missed it somewhere, or I'm redirecting my my career path. I want to go this way. That should be the only reason why you are changing, because you know yourself. The most important thing in careers choices and everything is to know yourself. Then you do things that will please you. You are the one who's going to learn going forward. So the most important thing, know your self-esteem, know yourself, you must be aware who you are, how can you learn, and the like. But it does not affect in a negative way. If I want to change, I'm positive that I will make it, I study hard, it will come out right. But if I want to change to please, I'm looking at friends, I'm not good at that, I don't have strength and I don't want to give extra time on it, it won't help me because I'm going to fail. Everything is possible depending on your determination.
I actually like what you just said there, you know, that it is really up to you how you perform. And it is up to you to apply yourself in order to come through and pass well, regardless of when you have changed your subject and what, for whatever reason that you have changed it. It's all based on how you get to apply yourself, how much time you put in, the work that you put in to ensure that you pass and you pass well. I think that's also very good advice. I want to hear from Eugene, from your experience as a social worker as to how students are affected. I have noticed that there's a high rate of students who commit suicide once they notice that they have not performed so well. Instead of doing subject change, they rather commit suicide. I want to understand, and I'm sure most of our students want to understand why that happens, or how can I put it, why they do not have courage, or is it because of misinformation or the lack of knowledge that they see life as nothing and the only way out is through suicide rather than changing subjects or having enough courage to do so?
In my observation, I would say lack of support from the family, the words that they speak unto the student or this child after the results have come out. Remember, as parents, we often set a standard for our children that this is what they should achieve, this is what we're aiming. You find that even the expectations are very much unrealistic to a point wherein you chair your child to aim for the first position most of the time. And then you are teaching that child to say, failure is not tolerated. You cannot stand being second and everything. So that kind of growing up, it makes a child to believe that nothing, like failure, there's no room for failure. If I fail, I don't think I'll be accepted anymore. If I fail, I would have disappointed my parents. If I fail, it means I'm useless. I can't make it in life. I cannot become what I want to become. So mostly it's a matter of the environment that the child finds herself or himself in. At home, the circle of friends the person has, like, and also the inability to cope with failure themselves. Some, it's very personal about failing. They are unable to deal with that because maybe they don't know how or where to start. There are a lot of reasons why one would take their life, but most importantly, if the support is not strong, if the family or the surrounding is not so kind to such a person, it will drive the child into committing suicide. Because remember, it takes guts for one to take their lives. So it takes maybe attempts sometimes, and the signs would be there sometimes. But then if the family is not supportive and they are not reading too much into what is happening into this child's life, they might lose that child. But other than that, it's a matter of who is surrounding this child, what are the expectations, and who else is there for the child. That is my observation.
Thank you. I think that is quite a mouthful, and it's quite eye-opening. Do you have something from the comment section for us?
Yeah, yeah. They say I've seen many people going back to rewrite or repeat the whole year, and they can at the end of the day and at the end of the year really say it was worth it not to force matters to be accepted into courses you do not desire to do. Patience, commitment, as Miss Eugene has said, is very important. And there's a question from Nyeleti Baloyi. Until when can I change a subject in grade 12?
I think this particular question is directed to our curriculum advisor.
It is advisable that when you were in grade 12, the one subject, you change it as soon as possible. They send your application to change because it has to go via stages from the school up to the HOD. So it is, I can't say the exact till, but April usually is the cut-off of many dates, but it's usually advisable to change it as early as you can, even if it's April, so that when you learn, you are free, knowing what I have already done in January. If you realize first week, second week, change it, even if the due date is end of April. It can be advisable to change it as soon as possible.
I understand that it is what I want to know, or what I think most of the viewers might be interested in hearing, is whether it's advisable to change subject in your matric in your second term. I mean, most high schools, or the high school that I went to, by term 2, we have already finished the curriculum of the entire year. So is it really advisable, even with the option of changing at that particular time? Is it advisable to change subjects at that particular time?
Really, no, it is not. It is not. That's why you need to review your things and take a decision, especially when you are in grade 12. Grade 12 is it's a short year. Look, by end of August, by July, most of the things must be done. Writing trial, revision, no longer time to do everything. So even if they say the cutoff date can be August or June, but it is very late. It's very late for you. The earlier, the better.
I would agree with that. Bui, do you have something to say to weigh in here?
No, I wanted to ask something in that case, because we have different ways of studying, and some of us doesn't even work out for us. Maybe it's because we don't implement good methods. So I'm asking our curriculum advisor that what kind of study method can we use in order to study and improve our studying or our learning in that case?
It is not an easy question, but I will redirect it this way. Before the method, just have a plan. A study plan is the most important thing for you to have. Have a plan first, and then you will be able to put the different subjects, and then the different subject will tell you according to your abilities. How can I study this one? You can study maths, and then you find that the same method is not working in maybe English, for example. So first and foremost, put a plan in action where you put your subject, and then subjects that need a lot of attention, you put more time on it. Those that are easy for you, you put also time, but minding the one that can pull you down. Method differs from student to student. This learner learn by reciting, standing, walking around the room. This one learn by taking notes, writing, reading, and writing. The other one when the teacher is demonstrating, he's good at it, he cannot easily forget. So method varies, even the way the subject itself. You can be this type of a learner who learn by maybe when a teacher is demonstrating, or you learn when you are alone, and then you read, and then you make short notes, you summarize your things, you learn better in that way. But you find good being being a learner in the different subject, you are not learning in the same method. So we cannot say this is a cut-off method to say I will learn in this way only. It may you may find that when I summarize, when it comes to this a subject, I'm not making it. It means you have to change the method.
Okay.
That's
So
very
the
true.
method depend on the subject, number one. It depends on how the subject is structured. So there is no one method. You can be a learner, but using 3 different methods depending on the subject. And you cannot say, no, this one, I have to use this method so that you find that you don't understand. We have so many different methods, but we learn differently. Even yourself, you can use 2, 3 type of methods to learn. Mnemonics, summarizing, whatever.
Thank you.
Okay.
I agree. I think that
So,
the learning, I mean, in terms of making a plan is very essential in everything that we do read. That includes the way that we learn and the way that as a student or as a learner, we understand things. And I think I'm just going to put it like a bit out there. I think that most of our high school teachers or educators or those responsible of the learning journey do not do our learners any justice. Because for starters, our learners do not even know why they are doing what they are doing. They do not know why they are studying what they are studying to begin with. For instance, with English, they do not know why they are writing essays. They do not know anything about really why they are studying, which is why I am coming to Eugenia for advice. I know there are certain instances where you get a learner who moves from one school to the other. In most cases, it might be due to a parent relocating or getting a job in a different area, or it might be due to a child having faced a multitude of challenges in their previous school or in their previous community, and now they have all these problems that have weighed badly on them or have weighed heavily on them, and now they come to a new school with very bad results, like, or very low results. How do these kids transition? I mean, psychologically, I am sure it is heavy, but I'm sure you have experience, and I would like you to give parents in such situations and their kids some advice on how they should go about it, and the things that they should do, or the people that they should contact, and what their starting point or the process really is.
Okay, I'm not sure if I understand very well your question. Let me repeat it. If I'm wrong, you will correct me. You are saying here is a child who is relocating from one school to the other, maybe from one city to the next, due to a situation or issues beyond the child's control and maybe the parent's control. The child now is in a new school. How does then the child fit in? You even mentioned the issue of bad results. I don't know, is it correct?
Yeah, you are correct. That's just one part of the question. I guess I also spoke about a lot of questions all at once. Okay, let me break them down. So for one, you have a child who is transitioning, right? And then now they are in a new school. How do they then adapt? And then 2 is advice for the parents who have a child moving from one place to the other with better results as a result of them having had problems in the past. So
Okay.
obviously it's going to be difficult for them to get into a new school. So in that period or in that space, how do the parents navigate around it all?
Okay, fine. Let me start with the other one. So a child transitioning into a new school, firstly, we don't have a scenario of how old is the child and the grade the child is going to. So I'm going to be general into my answers. So firstly, the child's first challenge would be every child in the school has their own friends. In the class, maybe in the school, they have to make friends, which is not even easy because you spend most of your time trying to figure out who this person is, what they like and everything. At the other hand, you are trying to ensure that you are learning to understand your new teachers and their ways of teaching in the school. You are trying to adapt into this new environment with different, maybe social activities that you have to also adapt to. It's going to be difficult. And by the time this learner maybe understands or find herself, it might be maybe 2 months later or 3 months later. It's not as simple as we see it as moving from one school to the other, because might be also affect the time of waking up, because we don't know the distance to the school. There are a lot of things are going to change anyway with this child. So we must be able to understand and put ourselves in the shoes of this child, whether as a parent or as a friend or as a one, and give support where is needed. It's not easy. Yes, one might not have a better way to express how they feel, how difficult it is. But for a parent to that child, they must be able to give support and check how the child is coping. Is there a need to consult maybe a psychologist? Is there a need for extra classes? Is there a need for one subject to be, maybe we communicate with the school about any extra assistance that the child needs, so that the child is as comfortable as possible. So with the second one, let's give an example of a child who experienced, let's say, rape in the family. And then because of that, the mother decided, let me move from this city to the other and take my child with, because there is a lot of trauma and post-traumatic stress that will happen if we remain in this place. So firstly, the child will require help, professional help, in order to deal with whatever that has happened. Obviously, when the child goes to school, yes, we are not going there to explain what happened, but it will be important for such a parent to share a little bit about the results, the bad results maybe, and the reasons why the child is moving to the next school. And also to explore this child, how was this child before the incident? Was the child a good performer, a hard worker, or what happened? What really changed the results? Or it's just a matter of even before the child needed extra work or extra help in order to make it. So being able to look for help to reliable people, it assists to ease the burden of now dealing with such an experience, and also having to perform at school and being expected to be normal like any other child. Obviously, when you have encountered certain challenges, it takes time for you to become normal again. So there will be a lot of challenges that we can see from this child in terms of being antisocial, maybe depending on the experience that they have experienced. So there will be a lot of challenges from a child. So it will be important for the parent to, however, share a little bit to educate us so that they can be accommodative, even in their teaching, even in their comments, even in their examples, they be sensitive. So it's very important to open up into the new environment or the new school for a learner to be comfortable. I'm not sure if I managed to cover all that you asked.
Yes, I think you have covered quite a lot of it. The little bit that was missing is the process that I had to take in getting the kid from I'm sorry, I had network issues. Am I back and audible?
Yes, you are back.
Yes, so the little bit that was missing is the part where this parent has to, the process, yes, this is what I needed, the process which the parent has to take with the child moving from one school to the next, with, this is an emphasis, I'm putting emphasis on bad results, with bad results. What are they then to do with those bad results? Can they find a, like yourself, a social worker who would speak on their behalf and make it easy for them to move into that new school? Let's say the circumstances might, yes,
I get the point. I get your question. Yeah. So if the child has experienced circumstances wherein they needed help, we are able to write a report, a very detailed psychosocial report, explaining the reasons for moving, even though we don't put everything in paper, but trying to paint a picture of, sorry?
Well, I was saying, I'm not sure if I was the one having network issues. I couldn't hear you there for a minute. Could you,
Okay.
was I the one having network issues? Let's just sort that out real quick.
I'm not sure if it's me or it's you, but all I was saying is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, all I was saying is, if it comes to a push, we are able to write a psychosocial report trying to detail the reasons for the bad results in terms of the experiences that could have led to the bad results and everything else, and make the recommendations, and also recommend further assistance from other professionals to wherever the child is moving. So yes, we are able to assist in that regard.
Thank you. Where might one find such information? Where might one, where is such information provided, online or otherwise? Because this is the first for me hearing that one can get, a psycho assessment or something like that. I didn't get what the term was. So where might one get such information? I think we should just pin it on our talk today, right now, or on our comment section, so that our learners can know and have help, because it's really hectic out there.
Okay, I can say I'm a bit out of practice because I'm no longer doing a generic social work. I'm specializing in substance abuse, working at a rehab. But I believe that if you go to a local social worker with such a problem wherein you need help, they will be able to assist, because there is no, it's not a shoe size that we say I'm wearing 6, because circumstances differ. The root cause of the problem and whatever has happened throughout and until you are where you are will make the report different from the other. So there's no format to say this is the form that you use to do this and this and that. So each and every case is unique and will be treated as such. But the first step, the first step will be for you to go to the nearest social worker for help. So when you are there, you will find that you get more help than you anticipated, because there will be maybe programs or any other assistant that can help you in such a problem. You may go there with an intention to get one thing, but at the end of the day, you got referrals, you were linked with a psychologist, you were linked with so and so. So that's why I'm saying every case, it's unique and it's individualized.
All right, thank you. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, learners and students. So should you find yourself encountering such problems, there you have your answer. That's one route to take. You can go to your social worker, and yeah, let's take an air break and we'll be back in a minute. Happiness, did you take that air break, or are we still live? Because it says we're still live here.
Sorry, we are still live. There's something from the comment section. I'm sure we can read it out to us.
Okay. There's a comment from Judge Chamber says, I think our educational system should invest more towards counseling and monitoring of our academic and mental well-being of learners at a very early stage, especially in our rural areas, so that learners can also have courage to raise their academic struggle so they can get proper advices before taking much decisions. So based to that comment, I have a question to our curriculum.
Before you move on, can you please repeat the question and who stated the question?
The comment.
Yes.
It's a comment.
From what? Please restate.
Judge Temba.
Okay, what did they say?
I think our educational system should invest more towards our counseling and monitoring of our academic and mental well-being of learners at a very early stage, especially in our rural areas, so that learners can also have courage to raise their academic struggle so they can get proper advice before taking such a decision.
Okay.
It's a comment from George.
You were saying? You may proceed.
Oh, okay. I have my own comment here. Ne? So, okay, to our curriculum advisor, ne? Just bear with me. I know things down so I can be relaxed. So, is it feasible? Will the curriculum be able to cover therapy sessions, maybe as part of life orientation?
Curriculum advice. I didn't hear the question, but cover therapy.
Yes, as part of life orientation. I'm not sure. Am I audible enough?
Yeah, you are audible,
yes, I think
but the question is not clear.
Oh, okay. Will the curriculum be able to cover the therapy session, maybe as part of life orientation? As I've read the comment section above, they said we should at least, our government should at least give therapy sessions before at an early stage for students in order to make best decisions. So my question is, can the curricula, can it cover the therapy session as part of life orientation?
Let me say, in life orientation, you will realize that you will follow up if I didn't answer you well.
Okay, let me try to take my question first so you can answer it.
Okay.
Will the curriculum be able to cover therapy sessions maybe as part of life orientation? Will they be able to cover those sessions maybe in life orientation periods or something like that?
Well, I think what you're trying to say is the way that I understand it. Tell me if I understand it properly. What you're saying is it possible for LO to include therapy sessions within its curriculum? I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, maybe Happiness can make it clarity on that one. So, hello, can you hear me?
Okay,
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Happiness can make it clarity on that one.
Okay, so this is a comment from George Temba. He is saying, I think our education system should invest more towards counseling and monitoring of the academic and mental well-being of learners at a very early stage, especially in our rural areas, so that the learners can have courage to raise the academic struggles so they can get proper advices before taking such decisions. So I think the question that Bui is trying to ask is, can the curriculum accommodate therapy sessions, the sessions that Eugenia was talking about as part of our curriculum, maybe at life orientation?
Yeah,
is it clear
yes,
enough?
Yeah, a bit clear, but let me say a life orientation teacher is just like a teacher of the subject itself, and the subject have the content that is prescribed, that must be taught. And he has to stick to that and ensure that he teaches that. But in a case where there can be some challenges, yes, the curriculum advisor can identify the situation and try maybe to handle it with the school-based support team that is in each and every school. But we recommend that some things are beyond their expertise. And such a learner who's maybe showing signs of maybe having problems that they did not obviously as a teacher specialize on it, they should always refer. There are social workers in some of the schools, or social workers that are given a number of schools, maybe in a cluster or nearby. Or there are social workers, some are based at the school, they are there. So I think in that case, the life orientation educator, knowing his learners, can easily refer. Not all the schools have social workers, but they are accessible in case there is challenges. Because remember, some of these things need social workers, some need doctors, and a teacher is not an expertise on that. Can offer maybe support, try there and there, but he cannot be the final person. He have to refer to ensure that there is a positive result. A learner is helped.
All right, thank you so much. I
Just
also
give
want
you
to
an
hear.
example. Let me give you a simple example with myself. I go to schools, I support teachers, and then I train them. But some have challenges, which when they tell me they are real, but being a subject advisor helping them, I cannot help them. I have to refer them. I have to advise them. If you can do this, but I cannot actually handle and help them there and then. So the same thing, if they realize the learners have this type of challenges, the SBS team can set the school with the life orientation curriculum advisor, but they need to seek the relevant and the correct help from those who have specialized, like social workers.
Okay, thank you very much. So, what's your take on this one, Mrs. Eugene?
Okay, yeah. To add on what Kakasani have said, there is a need for schools. Let me put it on record. This is a recommendation. There is a need for each school to have a school social worker, someone who will specialize in learners or specialize in giving help to learners, because an educator cannot be able to do their work and also deal with social issues. They cannot be able to produce good results while they are doing behavior modification as an extra for their job. So there is a need for Department of Education to hire school social workers and therapists. And if you can look at what is happening in schools now, there is a need also for therapists, for educators too, because they go through a lot at the hands of students. Whatever that they go through, they need debriefing once in a while. They need motivation once in a while in order to be able to keep on. So I don't think it would be appropriate for a lesson of life orientation to provide therapy. Remember, therapy, it's something that you must have a rapport with your client. You must be able to maintain confidentiality as you said, you offer the service. So it's a very much a sacred thing. It's a one-on-one thing. It needs a proper office where a learner can be able to sit down and be able to trust you with whatever issues are happening at home, whatever issues they are going through as they transition from teenage years into adolescent. There are a lot of issues, those that they can't talk to their parents, and also they can't talk to their teachers. So it's something that Department of Education should really invest in, as the comment said. So it's something that needs a different professional also to be part of the educational system. I understand Makakasene indicated that we do have social workers in some clusters, some social workers are allocated to 3 schools, but the work is too much. So as we are still waiting for them to hire social workers, there is integration of services as we speak. We are working together as departments to assist, but it's not enough, because you may find that a teacher is unable to identify a social need of a child or to refer, because they have a lot of work at hand to be able to teach. And on the other hand, they overlook at problems that the learner is going through. So it's a very hard, it's a tough one, but there is a need for employment of such expertise in schools.
Okay. I'm answered. Thank you very much. I guess also students are taking notes, because we are also representing them with questions. So some of them, we get them from students asking us based on our experience. Man, I've been through this and that. So how can you guys help us? So I believe that you are helping them with the whole information that you're giving them. So Cecil, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you. I like having the reins. Yeah, I agree. I must say I agree with what you've just said, that we do need counselors in schools, which is quite surprising why our public schools do not have any counselors with all that they're going through. I mean, it must be extremely difficult for learners and students and educators to, must be too much for them. I mean, just last year, towards the end of the year, in Leboago, there was a case whereby a learner didn't really insult a teacher, but mentioned something about their shoes on Facebook, saying that, oh, there was like a picture of like this funny looking shoes, and then the kid was like, these are mama shoes. And the teacher got to the learner, approached the learner in class or somewhere else. I'm not quite sure of the facts of the location, in terms of the location. So the teacher approached the learner and started telling the learner how they would never pass, and that this, that, and that, and the kid eventually committed suicide because of that, because they were threatened by their own teacher, which goes to show that our teachers are traumatized on their own. Our learners are also traumatized, and they do not know the rules, or they do not know, how do you put it? The what is it? Boundaries. Yeah, they do not know boundaries between their teachers, what they can and cannot say, and the things they can engage their teachers in and things they cannot engage their teachers in. Which brings me to sex education. Have you seen the series? There's a series, this very popular series called Sex Education. I think that is something that should be incorporated into our schools as well, because it's a major problem, and our learners are not, are not having this information, and they end up in very difficult positions. One thing that I wanted to ask, I'm going to divert to our curriculum advisor. I really need to know why our curriculum is not changing, why it's so backward, and why it's really not beneficial to most especially public school learners. I mean, is it really that hard to integrate a better curriculum, or a forward-looking curriculum, something relevant to the changes that we have right now? Why is the curriculum not changing? Do we still have our curriculum advisor with us?
Yes, I'm there. When you say, but I don't know if I will have answered you well, but then time and again, there is this reviewing of each subject. There is a review of the content or the curriculum or the syllabus that is being taught. Time and again, there is a review. Maybe in 3 years, some subject will have to do a review and a recommend. And then there is also an opportunity for public comment. like the parents can comment if they know maybe that particular content that has to be taught. You will remember well, there was a noise 2 years ago saying our learners will be taught sex at school. And parents were dissatisfied about that, not it well captured. But that shows that there is a review on the curriculum that has been set. There is realignment or restructuring, removing some content, adding some new. So that shows that they are looking at it with the aim of improving it. I don't know if you wanted to say maybe changing, putting a new one like now. We are in CAPS. Remember, there was NCS, just plain as it is, and then we added CAPS in 2013, somewhere there, CAPS 2012, CAPS came into being. So there is always review of the curriculum that is being taught. Just like now in life orientation, there will be scripted lesson on sexuality education, which we have just hinted on, but they are facing it bit by bit. So I think there is not a change, but there is reviewing and then adding some new things that are relevant to what is happening in the country. Gender-based violence. Now you will realize in our textbooks it was not there, but now it's being faced in domestic violence, something like that. There is add-ons. I can just say add-on. So we are really looking at what is happening in the environment. The change in the environment inform the change in the curriculum.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I might be wrong as well, but I think the CAPS was introduced in 2014. Yeah, I think it was introduced in
2012, because in 2012, 2014 was the last year of training, the last phase, which was grade 10. They started in grade 10, with second year, 2013, grade 11, and then 2014 with training grade 12, which was the last phase.
All right, 2012, yes, 2012. Yeah, to our viewers, you are still watching Baywaves. We are discussing life in high school, and throw your comments, please share, like, and yeah, tag, and hashtag Baywaves, guys, hashtag Baywaves. Yeah, on the curriculum, I do not want to say that I do not see much of a change, and maybe it's because we do not understand how it is being phased in. Is it, maybe you can also like kind of explain while breaking it down, while they phase it in, is it like they phase let's take the English subject for instance. Do they phase in, when they phase it in, do they phase in the comprehension part of it, or they phase in the stories and what are these poems, or they phase in the advertisement part of it? How exactly do they phase it in? Because I'm not exactly understanding. For me, it seems like it's taking forever with the reviewing.
I cannot be specific. I'll just be specific in life orientation so that I don't miss the point. Not generalizing, but the most important thing is to know that we have reviews, like now with COVID. We have to review, and then we have a revised one to accommodate the situation of COVID. Adapted from the same CAPS, we have to review, looking at the situation as a country we're faced with. So yes, I understand that maybe the reviewing is reviewing only a minimal content. It's not changing like according to the way I understand, you were to change maybe it's long that way it keeps. There was supposed to be something new. But policy takes time to change. Like we still have some things that are not fitting well, but because it's policy, it takes a little bit of time. It can just be some items there be reviewed and be changed to fit whatever situation we are in. But basically, there is a reviewing, there is changes that we time and again looking at maybe problems faced by the learners, problems faced by the teachers in teaching, and then recommend to national that this policy is no longer working well, but they will take time to look at that and then wait also for public comment so that people outside there must also comment, then they can change the policy. But I think there is, in LO, there is a minimal changes that is being implemented and is in line with what's happening. Like really, we look at the subject and time and again, there are few changes. Like last year, we did not have physical activities due to we could not do sports or games or fitness activities that requires people to come into contact with each other due to COVID. So can you see that it is spot on when when there is a particular challenge in the country, it easily or quickly addresses, though not the whole policy will change, like we change caps to a new one. But it intervened. It intervened. The moment there is something, it intervened. The moment there was COVID, there was a realigning, reviewing, and immediately something was done. Now there is gender-based violence. It is phased in. We see problems that are happening in the communities, whereby maybe things when we did not know was not there even in the textbooks. Lesbianism, gay, these things, they are now being phased in so that we can know about it and then accept such situations whereby you may find that society does not accept it. It's being phased in because it is now there. But changing the whole curricula, I think the whole policy takes a little bit of time. But there are interventions to address problems that we have time and again in society.
All right, I think maybe that's clear, and maybe I think it's sensible that they can't just change it all at once. We are an hour into our show. You are still watching Bay Waves. We are discussing life in high school. We have with us a curriculum advisor and a social worker. Stay tuned. Hashtag the show, share the show, and leave a comment in the comment section. Before we let go of our social worker, I understand that we should be letting go in an hour, right? Or would you like to stay?
Before she leaves, I'm so sorry. I still have a question for her. It was supposed to start that side, so I still have to ask her. So, okay, what are the factors that are affecting? Okay, what are the social factors that are affecting the learners to produce the best results in school?
Okay, it's a broad one. Okay, it's fine. There are several factors that will affect a learner in terms of, let's look at the unpredictable home environment as a topic. So as we live, we encounter challenges that some are in our control and some are out of our control. So whether whatever is happening is directly affecting you or indirectly affecting you, at the end of the day, it is affecting you as it happens within your environment. We've been in tough times in 2020, 2021, wherein most of us, we lost our loved ones. Those can be some of the factors that could contribute to bad results and inability to move on or to deal or to cope with such an environment. And also not being able to find help, because remember, with the levels, we wouldn't be able to reach out to maybe certain professionals sometimes, or sometimes due to lack of information. And the support was also limited to family members or external family members to be there for support. Remember, as Blacks, we are used to, when there is a funeral, we'll come a week before maybe the burial and staying a little bit even after. But with COVID, it was hard, it was tough, and you can understand that that was unpredictable. It's something that no one could have think about or thought about. So it does contribute also. So the other one could be maybe separation of parents or divorce, wherein as Black and African people, it's unlikely that we sit down with our children to explain the whole process, what led to the divorce, what is happening, or children will just see by signs. You're not talking to one another, maybe you're not sleeping in one room, or whatever the case may be. Those has an emotional strain on children, having to observe what is happening, having to figure out what is happening by themselves. And they are unable to approach you as their parent to say, what is happening, what's going on, and everything. So it does affect one's performance, not only in school, also in their social life, also in their sports life, whatever life that they are trying to build at that tender age. It has a negative impact. You touched on issues of domestic violence. Maybe you will continue with the topic. Also, it has an impact, whether a person who has been violated is the child or is the mother or is the father, because it cuts across, it knows no gender. There's femicide, we understand, but even men, their fathers are encountering such challenges. Again, let's look at the issue of substance abuse of learners. Learners of nowadays are very much educated to a point wherein they can even be able to read through our prescription medicine and over the counter, where they know there's maybe an element of codeine in this kind of medication, there is this pathogen in this one, and they concoct it. Our children are so wise that they concoct whatever is available in the house and they use it, wherein it negatively affects in their cognitive development, because there's a certain age wherein you don't need substance because your brain maturation has not reached its full maturation. So whenever you use such substances at a tender age, you are affecting your own sleeping patterns, your thinking, and the coordination, the concentration level. There is a whole lot of things that the brain can do that is affected by a mere use of substance. I'll move on. It's a topic for another day. And then also the issue of teenage pregnancy. We have seen it before. There's a high peak of teenage pregnancy wherein as you become pregnant, it's a very delicate process wherein there are a lot of hormones involved, the moods, everything. How do you then cope as a student and you are pregnant and you are expected to perform certain tasks? No excuses. There's no special case that you are pregnant, you can't do this, you can't do that. So it's a lot of pressures wherein even after birth, you just have to be a mother before you become a student. You have to be a daughter to your parents. You also have to be a baby mama to the father of the child, depending on where the relationship is at that time, let alone even the father of the child. He is also now a father at a tender age. We're not saying that as a father, you're not affected, because you have to deal with the fact that now you are a father. Now you must take responsibility. Now you must care for your child. Now you must love your child. Now you must thinking of, when I first start working, I must pay maintenance. So all these things can be distracting and disturbing to a learner or to someone. Also, the issue of self-identity. A lot of young people are struggling to identify themselves, who they are. It can be because maybe they don't know their fathers, or maybe they don't relate well with their fathers, and there are a lot of challenges. So in a way of trying to figure themselves out, some, they go through a lot. And also having to come out of maybe your sexuality, knowing your sexuality is a very stressful process wherein you have to come out. You mentioned the issues of gays and lesbian, to say you are trying to put it in or face it in the curriculum. So it's some of the challenges or social issues that can contribute or predispose one into maybe having challenges with the education, because now you have to balance the whole thing, and not everyone else is cut to be able to cope with certain challenges. And West part, you find that you don't have someone to support you, or you don't even know where to get help, you don't know who to cry to. So it becomes difficult for one to have to cope. Okay, and lastly, maybe it's very critical, this one, for children who are child-headed families. There are children out there who lost their parents, or their parents maybe are in Joburg trying to make ends meet. So you are a firstborn, you need to look after the other ones, whereas you still have to do your schoolwork, you still have to be a child also. So it's challenging. I know I've said a lot of things in a short while, but yeah, you can ask if there's anything else that you need to know. I can be here for a few minutes if you still have questions.
Okay, you've mentioned something quite interesting, honestly speaking, like the issue of approaching parents. You know, okay, let me put you in this scenario. There's this little girl, she stays with her mother. Her mother is affecting her emotionally, like she utter like some heavy weights to her, you understand, based to a different issue, like let's say they had a division before, so now the anger is being taken out to that young girl, you understand. So how can a young girl, or not me, okay, because I'm a girl, I'll say girl, because I know that girls are the ones that are mostly in emotional challenges.
I think Boy is having a bit of some network issues on her side.
Oh, I have okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, but I heard you the part where young girl, the mother is putting a lot, not hateful words and everything. You can continue from there.
Okay, so that young girl, academically, she's already struggling, emotionally, like she can't even socialize or engage with friends. She can't go out, because when she tries to go out, the parent be like, yeah, when are you going to see boys out there? So how can that young girl or that person approach a parent? As you said, if there's a problem in the family, you can approach parent and say, no man, mama, this thing doesn't suit me well. How can you help that person do that? Because hey, you're out there.
Yeah, I understand that as children, we know our parents better. That when my mother say no, what does it mean? So if you know that you're living with such a parent and you know that she will never understand, or she will never give you an ear to express yourself the best way you would want to express yourself, you can consult a nearby social worker to say, this is my problem. So the social worker will be able to call in the mother, and then she will be the mediator, and then you are able to safely speak about everything that you need. You may find that even your mother needs help. Such behaviors, or some behavior that our parents show to us, it's a cry out for help. But as children, we are unable to see beyond that. This mother might be having a different challenge. So you going to a social worker can help you and can also help your mother. Your mother can still be assisted after you have been maybe asked to excuse the office. The mother can be able to express themselves with the challenges that they have, because it's not always that when one has a problem is able to go out for help. Mostly mothers, it's not easy for them to go out there and say, Bella, I have this and this and this as a problem. We are used to talking to our friends, maybe someone that is close to us, because there is something that we want to hear from them, not because we want help, but when someone says something that you want to hear, you feel like the problem is solved and everything then is fine, which is not really correct, because you need professional help in order to be able to deal with whatever. Because having someone to listen to, you have not eliminated the problem, you just minimized it.
Okay.
No, that's very true. I also have a question before we let you go. We have situations whereby we have very vengeful parents or parents who seek out revenge on their kids without even noticing it, right? So how do these kids then deal with that? Because you find that they are in a situation whereby all the parents does is say study, 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 but they're not exactly providing any help because in most cases, they cannot help, and that's understandable. But then what advice would you give them to communicate better with their children, other than just saying study? No, yeah.
Okay. So what I can say maybe to parents is that they should create an environment that will motivate their child to study. Sometimes talking, it seems like you are being harsh, you are forcing things, you are being rude, like you don't know how to communicate better because now you are dictating. So there are different types of parenting styles. Maybe it's a topic for another day. So there are those authoritative parents who will just tell you what to do. And you might find that it does not work. It doesn't work for every parent. Some it works to certain parents because maybe they have a kind of a child who is so understanding, or the child can be able to understand such a parenting style. But there are some parenting styles that are not working. There's a permissive parent who will allow their child to do whatever they want, which might work positively or negatively. It might work positively in a way that a child is having an open schedule where I know when I can study, I know when I can go see my friends, I know when I can do that and that. But there will be a child who, when they are permitted, they overuse their permission to do negative things, which will overpower the positives. So it's important for a parent to have a good relationship with the child, to be friends with the child, so that even when they communicate, they don't dictate, they consider the feelings of the child and the position. So let's say the child says, I'm tired. As a mother, you would have to find out, why are you tired? What happened? How was your day? What were you doing? Do you at least need some rest? What time can you start? Not to say, no, not in my house. No one is going to sleep without studying. No, it cannot happen. Not in my house. So such kind of behavior, it drives the children away, and they are not able to share what they are going through, even in their personal lives, because now the parenting style is not so permissive. It's not so fostering love and care. You are not willing to understand where I am, but you want me to take what you are saying. So we must be able to understand as parents, our children are growing to be responsible people. They think, they reason, they think about what we say, and they interpret it in their own way. So we must understand that they are no longer children anymore, but they are growing and maturing, and that is good for them to think. It shows that they are growing and they are becoming a responsible people.
No, that's true. Given that we have a parent in the house, how do you provide a conducive environment for your kids to study?
Thank you so much, once more. You know, when maybe you as a parent realize that there is something, one of the other things, I know it may not be easy to the way we are as parents, unless guided to create that good environment where our children can open up. There can be so many things that we can help our children with, even identifying someone who our children can be free to talk to, who is a bit reliable, not necessarily me. And then another thing, being friendly, maybe asking them to write a letter. In a letter, you can read so many things. Tell your child, if you see this behavior, you see these problems that she's having, just say, write a letter to me, be free in the letter. Or you ask a friend who you rely on, maybe is reliable, to do that, to help you with the child. Don't be too or be forceful to say this should not happen, because like she said, you in your previous question, we will also experience some stresses as parents, and you find that with men is worse. men want to seem strong every now and then. They can't share like maybe women, they think if they have problems and share, they won't be seem as, that I'm a man. So they hide their anger, they hide their frustration and vet it on their children. But one way of helping is just maybe if we realize our children can open up with us, who can we identify, who can be near us, so that at the end it's about assisting the learner or our children to come out and be able to create an environment where they can learn better. I usually use this method of write me a letter, tell me everything. In a letter, I will read my child, or she's going through this at this particular time. And then I will maybe consult the social worker. This is the letter that my child has written. Can you read it? And then can we come together to check what intervention can be there? Something like that. And I also wanted to add, I'm so sorry to take you back, in the situation where Mama was explaining the different factors that can maybe be distractors and lead to maybe our children underperforming and not doing well. Also, the loss of jobs. Our parents with COVID, some were retrenched, breadwinners passed on, and then the child now start to say, now, even if I can pass, what can happen to me? The breadwinner is no longer there, or my mom or my dad is retrenched. There is no longer anything I can do. And I wanted to advise that there is financial assistance, study loans, bursaries, and then that learners can access. I wanted to emphasize that money should not be a problem. But remember, nobody can sponsor just average performance. There are bursaries ready, but for people who achieve better. So money should not be a problem, though a loss will be a problem. The situation at home will change when the parent is no longer working. But going to further your studies should not be a challenge. As long as you can perform well, you can get a bursary, you can get many financial assistance that you can access. I wanted to add also that, because
thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to cut you so that I can let this Eugene here. I can let her go because we've held her up for quite a minute right now. Thank you for joining us, and hope to have you come back very soon so we can talk about the codeine and talk about the substance, and their cognitive abilities. I think most students do not, or learners, let me say learners, most learners do not understand why they shouldn't do these things. They see it as just parents saying, or grown-ups saying, don't enjoy this very fun, very mind-relaxing things. So thank you once again. I don't know if you want to leave some advice before you go, and yeah.
No, I want to thank you for having me, and it's quite a great show, I must say. It's unfortunately because of time, but next time I'll be ready for the full term of the session. And all I can say to the learners is, like Mangakasani have said, the only stumbling block between you and your success is yourself. So if you work hard, I know that the world will reward you. If you get good results, we have seen in the newspaper, we have students who are going to Harvard, we have students who are going to Oxford, we have students who got 3-4 bursaries, and the department is also giving them something, the sponsors, Vodacom and others, they do come through for you. So all that you must do is to put on hard work and no excuses. No one is like, everything is in your hand. Everything is in your hand, no excuses at all. So have a great night, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Going back to, I think you can just log out if you wanna head out, and we'll see you in the comment section.
Sure.
Heading over to what we were just speaking about. you spoke about come on, don't tell me I already forgot. Yeah, you spoke about a lot of things. I wanted to touch something in particular. Yes, it was parents and public comment. Yes. Are our parents really in the best position to comment on what their children should be taught? I mean, not parents in Gauteng or parents in privileged positions. Parents in the lower standard of education, parents in your Limpopos. Let's at least focus on Limpopo for a little bit, given their low pass rate the previous year. Are they really suited to giving comment on the curriculum? Because I feel like they are so unaware and are unable to help in anything that is in those books or in those learning material, that they cannot see a problem even when it's there. Like what I was referring to earlier when I said that the curriculum isn't changing. So I don't know, are they in the right position to give those very comments?
Let me say comments is there, but it's minimal. It's not incorporating, it's maybe only like you mentioned, a certain section, maybe this, maybe how they, most of the comments will come from there. You find deep rural there. Because of lack of knowledge, exposure, not knowing, there is no comment at all. So they take whatever is given and they think everything that's given is right. The education, they cannot decide what is not right. Everything is just right. But there is a need for us as parents to comment, because on the subject level, we do comment. We are given a chance to comment as maybe subject advisor, maybe per district, and then province. Each province will have this view on a particular maybe item that is being faced in. So we do comment, but it's very minimal. Only a few people comment.
Thank you, Buyi. I think there is something that Happiness just sent to you right now. I think it's a comment in
comment. I've been waiting here. Okay.
Yeah. Do we have any comments?
Yeah, we do, from Judge Temba. Hey, Judge Temba, it's participating here. Hey, he has a lot to say about our educational system. What's wrong with it? Okay. They say, can't educational social workers write a petition to the Department of Basic Education to say, these are the problems we are facing. We are having a high percentage of poor performing learners. So as per our research, we demand the implementation of the following findings as a solution to help struggling learners, so we can lower the percentage of poor performance of learners, especially in rural areas, because I believe that I also an enforcement towards rural and social development in our educational system and promoting equity amongst learners.
Ma, do you have anything to say on that?
But I think there is a move towards that. Remember, in the past, there were no social workers based at schools. I think the fact that even though they are not enough, there is a move towards that. Even though not every school has a social worker, maybe one will be responsible for many schools. There is a move towards that. And what I know, each and every one of us, whatever service, whatever work we do write reports about the challenges. So I also believe they write reports about the challenges, maybe recommendations, what can be done to improve the situation. But let me just say, it is on the way. I just believe it's on the way. Just like with us, we go to schools, we get maybe these challenges with educators, and then we write a report, we write maybe recommendations. This is what can be done. It can be just low, but I think it's on the way. That's what I can say.
All right, Bui, do you have any comments on what was said?
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to answer this question in such a way that you want it. For the issue of commenting, for the parents having a right to comment on their learners' progress, né? Let's come to the issue of classes, attending, checking school learners' books. I'm not sure if I'm sitting the right track for you.
No, actually, I was referring to what you just read.
Okay, from what I just read. Okay. Let me just refer, because I cannot just give comments on something that I'm not even referring from. Okay, from what I've just read, let me just hold it for a second. Okay,
Right.
from what I've just read, yeah, okay, it's a good thing for Department of Education to go into let me not say into detail, go to every single learner. Like we have teachers at school, whereby we can communicate with them, say, okay, can you go to our class? We have a problem whereby our learners are failing. What's the cause? Someone will be saying, okay, I'm having a serious family background. Whenever I'm trying to study, my parents are fighting. It's also contributing on the educational system of a learner. Okay, so those things, if teachers can go into class, I know it's not their duty, but in a way, it's also going to help learners. Okay, every single student have a mentor in school. Let's say maybe a teacher have 5, a teacher have 5 students, understand, and be their mentor. Talk to them. Okay, what's your problem? Why are your performance dropping? Okay, I'm having this problem at home. That thing will also help in collecting the statistics of the social problems that students have. Then the department will gather the information. If the learners are suffering from the same problem, they take that issue to the social workers and tell them that at our school, we have this particular problem. Our students are suffering from family abuses. Parents are fighting, or let's say the environment at home is not healthy. So how can we help? Because those people have an experience on having solutions on such cases, they'll be able to address back that issue to school that, no, let's take those learners into counseling. Let's talk to them. Let's go through their family backgrounds. Let's see if we cannot ease the education. I also believe that so many problems children are carrying at school, they come from our family backgrounds. We display what we come through, we go through at home. You understand? Obviously, so if ever I come home and then mama nankomanya, no, we were now serious. Serious already. That thing she did that in the morning, it's affecting my day. You understand? So how am I going to cope for that day? Already it's a bad day for me, and she keeps on doing that. So such things, our teachers
Right,
should
I understand.
say.
I think, like I indicated, at school, there are 5 sections that can help in that. There are sections that can help in that.
But our teachers were not using those sections. Again, we are also sharing through our high school experience. We never had a platform to share such issues. You understand? You find a learner missing classes for a period of 5 days. When you go to that learner, honey, why are you not attending? You know what, I'm going through a lot at home. Teachers are in doing nothing. What they do, they go to the school learner. Why are you not taking your schoolwork serious? I attended class, you miss classes the whole week. Already that thing is affecting that student. What steps are those teachers taking? Already the environment is toxic to that student. So you see those steps were never implemented at our schools.
Hey, It's very difficult because if you know something is there and it's not utilized, it have this negative impact on the general result of learners. But honestly speaking, efforts have been made. We also have psychological services section whereby at school, teachers or the school can refer. The school don't have to maybe to stuck if they realize such situations. The help is nearby. There is psychological services in the Department of Education which liaise with the social worker. It's just that it's not done. And such things I can think the advice I can give is just to find, maybe if you see such a learner, you can help by looking at a teacher who you are free with, who you can easily associate with, which you can pick up to say, we are seeing this and this in this one, or I have this challenge. Obviously, there is one you can relate with well. I know educators are not the same. There is one you can relate well with. So don't die with that situation that is not right. Go to that one. He can see how you can get help. But don't, even if maybe is someone maybe in the community who you can rely on, go to him or her and then raise the issue. I think it can be attended in the right way, because help is there. It's just sometimes we don't access it. There is a psychological services section which deal with this for the schools in the Department of Education, which when they see such challenges, they pick it up and then take it to social workers. But I encourage, don't be silent on it. Do something, pick up one educator you are free to talk to, and then maybe raise the issue, even if it's helping a fellow learner who's maybe afraid, but you are seeing, or no, things are not moving well.
That's very true, ma. I get what you guys are talking about. I get what you are saying. It's quite interesting, actually. What I would like to know, or the question that I have, I'm going to move away from what you guys were talking about. What I would like to know is, for the mere fact that we are moving into a fourth industrial revolution whereby technology is really everything, and our schools, our universities to begin with, haven't yet transitioned in a manner that we had hoped. So what does this mean for our schools? With everything going online, with COVID not going away, with the curriculum facing in things very slowly? Because I imagine at some point it has to face in technology. It has to face in what are these subjects that have a technology background or online background in some way. How do you think, or what would you say would, how would you say the curriculum or people responsible for facing in on the curriculum, how do you think they will implement it, will implement such a change, such an introduction of technology into the curriculum?
It is already being phased in, though it can be like in the previous questions, whereby we compared that question. I think you remember where we compared and say parents participating, making public comments in this province more maybe than this one. But there is facing in, and which was just a must, because situations were beyond our control. But with some schools, deep rural and the like for instance, let me give you an example. Teachers, while we're in the initial stages of lockdown, when things were still difficult, some schools managed, due to the fact that the nature of the schools, learners have laptops, learners have phones, they have WhatsApp groups, they can be sent work as they can be taught, and then assessment can be done. They can be sent homeworks or classwork, whatever, and then they can return the responses to the teacher mark, give feedback, and the school was running normally even during COVID. But in most of the public schools, we cannot say that they will be able to do that in the same way like in these other schools. So we are facing it, but it can't be that quick in our big enrollment public schools where we can make everyone maybe to have that. Like even now, some in grade 12, you find that if they have a phone where they can have this downloading of information being taught, it cannot be that type of a phone. And then there is data issues at school. There is a Wi-Fi. They can access things easily, but when they go home, there is no one to buy data for that particular learner. So it can be, we are moving towards that. We are moving there. And even if COVID ends, I don't think we'll necessarily return back. We are moving slowly there. There is just a movement, there is change, which maybe COVID also pushed that will make it happen. But it's still not 100%, but it become a must now. Technology
But there
to
is a
align.
phasing in.
To align is a must now.
Because I remember
And
not so
another
long
issue.
ago. Yes.
And another issue, looking at the way our things are structured now, our curricula, looking at the way things have been changed to fit or to align with other countries. You cannot rely on the teacher will be writing for you in the board, rubbing, doing whatever almost of the time. Otherwise, if you use that, you won't even finish the syllabus. Most of the things have to be done that maybe the school ensure is almost what they provide. Certain amount of money so that school can have maybe curricular needs met. Though home-wise, you'll find that a learner will have problems, but while they're at school, most of the schools have that. It's a must that they must have this type of technology so that learners can learn very easily.
No, that is true. Yeah, because I remember not so long ago. They just informed me that one of the co-hosts has went out due to technical error, due to technical difficulties. Anyhow, there was a while back. I remember a while back they introduced programming and all that in some schools in Gauteng, and I think that was a very good initiative and a very progressive one at that, as well as the UCT, the University of Cape Town, introducing an online school. I went over the website and just looked at it for like a few minutes, although the fee is quite steep for someone who is underprivileged, even though the what do you call it, the curriculum or the opportunity, yes, the opportunity is it's a good opportunity, even though it's a good opportunity. I am just a bit worried though with our schools in Limpopo, because for starters, most of them do not even have textbooks, and already we are moving to an online platform. I'm not sure if they're going to have enough support to take on such a change. Another thing is not even with our schools integrating technology into all of its learning process or whatever. It's with the teachers themselves. I always wonder why they cannot even teach. I am going to put this one particular school on the spotlight, Kopano High, which is in Luahom. Its teachers do not even know how to teach. The learners have to teach in class, teach other learners, and they would have to get outside teachers to come do that for them. So now, with everything moving online as it is, do you really think that schools in Limpopo have a chance? And I apologize for naming. I am not supposed to do that. I really, really apologize for that. Apologies. That was a comment personally from me, not the station itself. My apologies. So, Ma, do you really think that schools in Limpopo particularly have a chance? Do learners in Limpopo have a chance?
You touch on two things. You touch on the textbook in your question. You touch Kopano High, which of course I'm not allowed to respond looking at Kopano High, though it's a school in my district where I'm working, but I will not be allowed to talk about Kopano. But let's generalize on issues that we think maybe we can improve. It's only that when you are at your level, you are speaking reality. There is challenges there and there. Or if we are still struggling, that's how I understood you. If you are still struggling with textbook, that's how I understand you. Going online teaching, it's like it's still far. There are learners that maybe are even teaching each other some things like that. There are measures in place to ensure that maybe a school, if we have maybe textbook challenges, this is the procedure that the school need to take. If we have this type of challenges, there are sections. There are staff in circuits that are there always to assist this particular school with this particular issue. Then if the school is trained, they take maybe the school management to train them on a particular thing, retrieval system of textbook, what can we do, and then how to make to ensure that we have textbook. Those things are there, and there is personnel. There is personnel in the second place, so that their duty is to teach. They don't have to run around looking at there is no textbook, there is no this. The teacher have to teach. There is personnel at the second office from the school. They can take it out to the seconds, and the seconds will pick up on that. Like maybe the issue that we're talking about just yesterday in the meeting, in the management meeting, there are schools that have closed. Then if there are schools that have merged or schools that have closed due to different factors, it means we have extra textbooks there. If textbooks are needed, we can go and take those ones. If there was shortages of desks, we can go to that particular school because it has been closed to take that furniture and then they distribute it to schools that maybe don't have furniture. But all in all, there is personnel at the second office placed to suit it. This one will only look at this particular problem at the school. Let me give you an example. This section is there, the second office. This will look at admission of learners in schools, so that it should not be the duty of the teacher to waste time on that. There will be this section, they will look at the nutrition to ensure that school children eat. There is this one, look at SSMs, can you see? So the teacher don't have to have so many concerns about textbooks, because there are sections that must ensure that if you report the issue, it is taken care of.
No, thank you. I think you have really highlighted on the most important parts of it. So what then? Who is actually responsible for, bringing about textbook to the schools? Is it the students who have to first write a petition that they do not have textbooks, and that they are getting left behind? Is it the educators themselves who have to talk to the principal and the SGB and whoever is above them, that they cannot teach well enough if they do not have such materials? Is it the principal who has to now go to the circuit and tell them that these things are not available and we cannot teach effectively? I just want to know that when a school is encountering such problems, what then do they do? Because for some schools, it takes years and years with them encountering the same problems and with no solution coming to light. Where is the hold up?
The principal is the general overseer or the manager of the school, together with his SMT. They have to ensure the resources are available. At the school, we need to have a section, maybe some few people. Remember now, there are this school, all the schools are assisted. We have EAs that are assisting in the school. The EA's duty is not actually to teach, but to assist the teacher so that his teaching is not impacted negatively. They are assistant, they assist the educators since when last year. So there is the principal together with his EAs, they can identify where gaps are in relation to whatever the teacher. If I'm teaching geography, I no longer have to, I take it to the principal, and they know the procedure. They are trained on, there are measures or things they have to follow with a very textbook retrieval system. They are trained. How do you take a textbook? And at the end of each year, you can make varying. You can say we no longer have these textbooks, and then maybe make add-ons. So we're talking about that just yesterday. They can add ons. It's the duty of the principal and the SMT. And then fortunately, we also have EAs that help with this heavy load, so that the teacher's duty is to teach. You don't have to go around struggling about everything. He take it to the relevant to the principal who will handle it.
And another thing is, which I wanted to touch on a little bit, is the student assistant or the teacher assistant. Exactly what is their job? Because from what I've heard or read, not quite sure which one between the two, they do almost anything but not teach or help in the teaching of the learners as they should. Because I remember some of my friends who have been teacher assistants were complaining that they are doing work that they did not sign up for, such as cleaning the school and doing all that. While in the way I viewed it, I thought that they would be there to actually assist the teachers in teaching, since well, they are fresh from universities or are fresh out of high school with knowledge beyond that, beyond metric level.
Let me not answer that directly. So as the initial their initial facing in last year, their roles and responsibilities were somehow to assist, not necessarily to actually teach. To assist, because I just remember a little bit well, because I was part when they were hired. The requirements there, I still remember it. The requirements as to what should be what should they have was not necessary, was to assist the educator, was to assist the learners who maybe were affected COVID-wise. Can they take something to their homes? That's why they needed those that will be nearby, near that particular school, not somebody coming from far, so that they can assist. This teacher maybe is affected. Can the teacher do something? Can he meet him or her on the way? Just assisting in between. assisting the learners, assisting the teacher. It was not actually, maybe even if I don't remember 100% maybe teaching in that. It was assisting to make the work lighter. Remember, there were those that were learning from home. There were those that were teaching from home. But then you have a class at school who's bringing the work, who's doing that, who's doing that. It was a matter of interacting, helping, ensuring that things run smoothly. There can be such gaps whereby maybe they are exposed to some things that they are not hired for. Maybe that one can be there, but let me not answer it directly, but to say the duties was that one of assisting, like just the name is saying, educator assistant.
No, that is very clear. I also wouldn't want to get you in trouble by asking very direct questions that you're not supposed to answer. I'm sorry if I have driven the conversation to that. Another thing that I wanted to know about was in terms of students getting bursaries. Is it possible for educators, or does it even have weight that an educator is vouching for a student who may have not performed optimally? Let's say a student is applying to a particular bursary and have not performed the way they usually do. Does it bear weight that a teacher or a school or whatever is speaking on their behalf to the bursary?
He's speaking on their behalf.
Yes,
there isn't that this is not a matter of getting a bursary given to everyone who wants a bursary. Each and every, whether it's a bursary or whether it's a study loan, there are terms and conditions, or maybe requirements that we have to meet. Even if I can want to intervene, but if the result in front of me does not make, let me give an example we were talking about yesterday. This learner did not apply. Mario got almost 7th distinction. And then he told the head of the district, the parents told the head, he passed, but he did not apply anywhere. He don't have a bursary. And that was organized only because of looking at what? The result. So the result, you cannot risk and say, I'm giving this person a bursary because he's merely an orphan, but you look at the result, they are not promising, he did not study hard. It's further risk. He's an orphan, yes, there is one requirement, he was to qualify, but the hard work is not there. So it's not a matter of who steps in, it's the matter of the result that are there. Nobody wants to risk and give a money where if it's a level 3, looking at the work ahead, where is your promise that this learner will perform? Your money goes down the drain. So hard work, getting a good result that align to that maybe bursary or whatever, also play a part.
Right. Thank you. And we have 3 minutes left. Thank you for joining us on Bay Waves. Ma, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Any advice?
Thank you so much for having me, for this opportunity to be with you. And then I honestly have learned so many things in this program. Today, I'm a better person. I'm going back, not the same. And thank you for this interaction that we have. But the only thing that I want to highlight is that money is there to take everyone anywhere, but hard work have to be exerted. And the only other thing I want to say, don't die in your corner if you have a challenge. Open up, get someone you can open up to, so that you are able to learn well undisturbed. Don't die in your corner. Money is there, but if you are struggling, you have problems, and then you don't open up, you will die in your corner, end up dropping out, end up stucking in life. So it should not be the case. I'm encouraging everyone to get the most of everything in life because it's possible. And thank you so much.
Thank you. We loved having you, and hopefully we would have you again very soon. To our viewers, there you have it. That's all we got for you today. We have 1 minute left. So thank you for tuning in to Bay Waves. Today's topic was life in high school. And if you have any issues, social workers in terms of relocating, in terms of curriculum, in terms of school, hard work, hard work, hard work. No one will put money where they have not seen results. So put in the hard work. Bye-bye. And we'll be seeing you next week, Tuesday. Cheers.